The year was 2137. For decades, humanity had reached for the stars. We had colonies on the Moon, Mars, and floating stations around Jupiter, but even as humans expanded, they always wondered one thing: are we alone? On a quiet Tuesday morning, the answer arrived. The mysterious signal at exactly 03:17 a.m. UTC, the global deep space network, picked up a strange transmission. At first, scientists thought it was just another pulsar signal. But within minutes, the pattern changed. It wasn't random. It was intelligent. Dr. Maya Kessler, the lead astrophysicist at the Lunar Research Station, stared at the waveforms on her console. This isn't natural," she whispered. Her assistant leaned closer. "Then what is it?" She hesitated, her voice trembling. "A message. The first contact within hours. Every major government, military command, and private space corporation was alerted. The United Nations Space Command, UNSC, activated its highest security protocols. Then, just before sunrise, the signal transformed into visual form. On screens across Earth and Mars, an alien figure appeared. Its head was elongated, its skin pale silver, its black eyes sharp and cold. It spoke in a deep, layered voice that echoed like thunder. "People of Earth, I am Zorath, Supreme Speaker of the Zorath Alliance. You have entered forbidden space and stolen technology, not your own. For this, your species must submit. Surrender your planet, surrender your weapons, surrender your freedom, or face complete annihilation." For a moment, the entire world froze. The arrival of the Armada. 2 days later, the skies over Earth changed forever. From observatories on Mars to stations orbiting Saturn, astronomers witnessed something terrifying. A fleet of alien warships entered the solar system. There weren't just a few. There were thousands. Colossal vessels, each the size of a small city, glided silently past Neptune, their hulls glowing with strange blue energy. Smaller escort ships formed intricate formations, like predator birds circling prey. The message was clear. The Zorath Alliance had come to claim Earth. Fear and panic across the planet. Fear erupted. Billions tuned into the news. Stock markets crashed. Social media exploded with theories, warnings, and desperate prayers. The President of the United Americas, Elena Vasquez, addressed the world. "We are not alone in this universe. A hostile force has arrived, but we are not afraid. Humanity stands united." But behind closed doors, panic filled every war room. Generals studied the alien fleet's size, their weapons, their technology. The numbers weren't good. "Even if we launch every missile, every railgun, every drone we have," said Admiral Grant from the UNSC, "we won't last 10 minutes against them." The unexpected response. Yet, in the middle of fear and chaos, something strange happened. The leaders of Earth, presidents, generals, and scientists, gathered in a secret meeting under the Geneva command bunker. A Zorath ambassador's hologram appeared before them, tall and intimidating. Its voice was sharp, mocking. "Surrender now. Do not resist. Your weapons are primitive, your ships are fragile, and your minds are limited. Join us, or we will erase you." For several seconds, silence filled the room. Everyone expected the humans to agree, or at least to beg for mercy, but instead, laughter broke the silence. General Sarah Blake leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, and smiled coldly. "You really think we're going to kneel?" she said. The alien ambassador tilted its head, confused. "This is not a negotiation. This is an order." And yet the laughter grew louder. From the generals, the scientists, even the president herself. The alien narrowed its dark eyes. "Explain yourselves, primitives." President Vasquez stood, calm and steady. Her voice was soft but carried weight. "We're laughing because you think we're scared. The secret humanity holds, The Zorath ambassador hesitated, as if trying to process the human reaction. The truth was something the aliens didn't know. For years, humanity had been preparing, hidden deep beneath Mars's surface and orbiting in. Secret around Saturn, humanity had built something unseen, not just weapons. Something far more dangerous. The Zorath Alliance thought they were the hunters, but in reality, they had just walked into a trap. The tension builds as the alien envoy vanished. A thick silence filled the bunker. Dr. Kessler, the same scientist, who first decoded the message, broke the silence. They think we're weak. They think we're easy prey. General Blake smirked. Good. Let them think that. Another general leaned forward, whispering, "Do you really believe Project Helios can stop them?" Nobody answered, because deep down, everyone knew the truth. If the plan failed, it wouldn't just be Earth that burned. It would be the entire solar system. Final hook for Part 1 far above Earth, the alien fleet formed into perfect battle lines. Their planet-killer weapons hummed with energy, capable of wiping out entire continents. But on the dark side of the moon, hidden beneath layers of rock, a silent facility came to life. Engines roared, lights flared, and deep inside a chamber of spinning quantum cores, Project Helios began to awaken. The battle for Earth had not yet begun. But one thing was certain: humanity would not kneel. The message from the Zorath Alliance had spread across the entire planet. Every city, every colony, every orbiting station waited for Earth's response. But instead of giving in to fear, humanity prepared for the inevitable confrontation. While chaos brewed among the population, the leaders of Earth moved quickly, activating emergency protocols and securing the United Nations Space Command's highest authority. 3 days after the alien fleet entered the solar system, a single transmission arrived from their flagship, a direct invitation for negotiations. It wasn't a request, it was a demand. The Zorath Alliance ordered humanity to send representatives aboard their massive command vessel. Refusal, they warned, would be considered an act of war. The UNSC assembled a small team of diplomats, military commanders and scientists. Among them were President Elena Vasquez, General Sarah Blake, Admiral Grant and Dr. Maya Kessler, the astrophysicist who first decoded the alien transmission. Humanity had no illusions about the danger. If the Zorath wanted, they could erase the entire delegation with a single shot. But the leaders knew this meeting wasn't just about surrender. It was about buying time and testing the enemy. The transport shuttle launched from Earth and climbed into orbit. As it approached the alien flagship, the delegation finally saw the full scale of the Zorath Armada. Their ships were enormous, sleek black structures covered in living metal that shimmered like liquid under starlight. Glowing blue veins of energy pulsed along their hulls, and entire fleets moved in perfect silence, like predators circling their prey. When the shuttle docked with the alien flagship, the humans were guided into a colossal chamber. The walls pulsed with faint light, and the air felt charged, as if the entire room was alive. Waiting for them were 6 towering figures, the envoys of the Zorath Alliance. They stood over 3 meters tall, their silver-blue armor reflecting strange symbols that seemed to shift and twist on their surfaces. Their dark, pupilless eyes scanned the humans with cold amusement. The lead envoy, Zorkal himself, stepped forward. His voice carried a deep, resonant tone, layered and commanding. "People of Earth," he began slowly, his words translated instantly through an alien device. "We have watched you. We have measured you. We have found you lacking. This system lies within our territory. You have violated interstellar law and claimed resources that are not yours. We are here to correct this mistake. You will surrender your weapons, your fleets, and your planet. You will kneel, or you will be destroyed." For several seconds, there was silence. The human delegation exchanged glances, their faces calm, hiding the storm of thoughts racing behind their eyes. Admiral Grant finally stepped forward, his voice steady. "You came all this way to demand our surrender," he said, "and yet you didn't fire the moment you arrived. Why?" Zorath tilted his head, almost amused. "We do not destroy needlessly. Your species has potential despite your primitive state. The Alliance prefers submission, not extinction. Surrender, and you will live." General Blake crossed her arms, studying the alien closely. "And if we don't?" Zorkal's expression did not change, but his voice grew colder. "Then your skies will burn. Your oceans will boil. Your worlds will become silent graves. We have erased empires far greater than yours. Do not make us prove it." Dr. Kessler stepped forward, her voice soft but sharp. "You talk about power," she said, "but power without understanding is nothing. You assume we are weak because we are young. But perhaps you should ask yourselves why we are laughing at your threats." The alien envoy paused, his expression unreadable. "Explain," he commanded. President Vasquez finally spoke, her voice calm and deliberate. "We are laughing because you think you know humanity," she said. "But you don't. You've seen our colonies. You've scanned our fleets. You've studied our history, but you don't understand us." She leaned forward slightly, locking eyes with Zorath. "You think we'll kneel? We won't. Not today. Not ever." A faint ripple of energy ran through the chamber as the alien envoy's armor pulsed with light, a sign of agitation. Around him, the other Zorath envoys whispered in their own language, their voices sharp and rapid. Zorath raised a hand, and the chamber went silent. "Your courage is admirable," he said, his voice like thunder rumbling in the distance. "But courage without power is meaningless. You are choosing destruction." General Blake's lips curled into the faintest smile. "Then maybe," she said softly, "you should pray we're as weak as you think we are." The alien envoy's gaze lingered on her, unblinking, before he finally turned away. "You have 3 cycles," he declared. 3 Earth days to decide, submit, or your species dies. The delegation was escorted back to their shuttle in silence. As the airlock closed and the human craft detached from the alien flagship, the tension finally broke. Admiral Grant slammed a fist against the wall. "They're not bluffing," he said. "That fleet out there, it could glass this planet in minutes." President Vasquez nodded, her expression grim. "Yes," she said softly, "but they don't know everything. And that is our advantage." Dr. Kessler stared out of the viewport, watching the endless field of alien warships. "They think we're prey," she whispered. "They have no idea what's coming." Far below, back on Earth, preparations intensified. Hidden bunkers activated. Deep beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, silent defense systems powered up. On the far side of the moon, cloaked research stations shifted into combat readiness. And buried under layers of Martian rock, the heart of Project Helios continued to awaken. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated. By itself, by its history, by its own fears. But now, standing at the edge of annihilation, a single truth united them all. Humanity would never kneel. The countdown to war had begun. The meeting aboard the alien flagship had ended, but its echoes still shook the world. 3 days. That was the time the Zorath Alliance had given humanity to decide, surrender or face extinction. Every nation, every colony, every station now stood united under one command: prepare for war. Yet the truth was clear. Against the Zorath fleet, Earth's known defenses would not last more than minutes. Billions knew it, but very few knew the real secret. Humanity was not as helpless as the aliens believed. Beneath the frozen surface of Mars, hidden under miles of rock, lay a massive underground facility known only to a handful of people on Earth. Its name, Project Helios. Inside, endless tunnels connected research labs, weapons bays, and control centers. Thousands of scientists, engineers, and military officers worked in absolute silence. Most of them hadn't seen sunlight in years. Their life's work was the same: to develop technologies beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. Dr. Adrian Shaw, the chief architect of Helios, stood at the center of the main control chamber, staring at a holographic projection of the alien fleet. His face was pale, his jaw tight. "They think we're weak," he said softly, his voice carrying across the room. "Let them." General Sarah Blake, who had returned from the alien negotiations, folded her arms and stepped forward. "Tell us what we have, Adrian." "No more. Secrets. The clock is ticking." Shaw nodded slowly, then activated the central display. A shimmering 3D model of a weapon appeared, its core glowing with a swirling light. "This," Shaw said, "is Helios." The entire room went silent. "Helios isn't just a weapon," Shaw continued. "It's a space-time disruptor. Using quantum singularity stabilization, we've built a device capable of collapsing localized gravitational fields. In simple terms, it bends reality itself." Dr. Maya Kessler frowned as she studied the display. "And what does that mean, exactly?" "It means," Shaw replied, "that when Helios fires, it won't just destroy their ships. It'll erase them from existence. No wreckage, no survivors, nothing." General Blake's expression remained unreadable. "And the catch?" Shaw hesitated. "Helios has never been tested at full power. Its energy output could destabilize nearby orbits. If something goes wrong, we could tear the moon apart. Worst case, we might even cause a chain reaction across the entire solar system." For a moment, nobody spoke. The stakes were higher than anyone imagined. President Vasquez, connected via secure hololink, broke the silence. "Can we risk activating it?" Shaw glanced at her. "Madam President, if we don't, Earth won't survive the first strike." Across the galaxy, the Zorath Alliance prepared as well. On board their massive flagship, Zorath watched live feeds of Earth's defenses with an expressionless gaze. Their intelligence drones had mapped every satellite, every ship, every military base. The aliens believed they had humanity cornered. To them, this was not a war. This was cleanup. But the Zorath were wrong. Back on Earth, the UNSC launched Operation Valkyrie, deploying fleets of stealth drones, orbital cannons, and anti-ship railguns to every known defense point. While the Zorath underestimated humanity's resolve, Earth's scientists and soldiers raced against time, preparing for the inevitable clash. In the Geneva command bunker, strategy sessions went on without pause. Admiral Grant stood at the front of the table, pointing to a 3D holographic map of the solar system. "They're positioning their fleet beyond Mars's orbit," he explained. "Once they cross that threshold, we'll have minutes before they reach firing range." General Blake studied the map carefully. "And Helios?" Shaw responded without looking up from his console. "We're initiating the final calibration sequence now. The energy cores will be fully charged in 40 hours. "That's not soon enough," Blake muttered. Then Dr. Kessler spoke, her voice low but steady. "We can stall them." Everyone turned to her. "They want us to believe we're afraid," she continued. "Let's feed their arrogance. If we keep talking, keep negotiating, we might buy enough time for Helios to be ready." The plan was risky, but there were no better options. The president approved it instantly. The next transmission was sent directly to the Zorath flagship. A calm, polite message inviting them to a second round of talks. Zorath received the signal and smiled faintly. "How predictable," he said to his advisors. "They delay because they fear us. It will make their destruction even more efficient." But while the Zorath waited, Earth moved faster than ever. Deep under Mars, the Helios cores pulsed brighter with each passing hour. Scientists worked without rest, their hands trembling from exhaustion, knowing that one small miscalculation could doom them all. The heat generated by the energy chambers was so intense that cooling systems began to fail, forcing engineers to improvise solutions in real time. Meanwhile, far above Earth, humanity's secret fleet, ships designed in silence, built in hidden facilities, emerged from their concealed docks on the far side of the moon. Sleek, black, and equipped with adaptive stealth technology, these warships were invisible to most known scanning systems. Humanity was preparing its trap, but they were running out of time. On the final night before the deadline, President Vasquez stood alone in the command center, gazing at the stars through the reinforced glass. Her reflection stared back at her, cold and calm, but her mind was racing. Billions of lives depended on the choices she and her team made in the next few hours. General Blake approached quietly. "You should rest," she said. The president shook her head. "I can't. Not yet." "Do you think Helios will work?" Blake asked. Vasquez's eyes stayed fixed on the alien fleet beyond Mars. After a long silence, she whispered, "It has to." And then, without warning, the Zorath made their move. Across every monitoring station, alarms screamed as the alien fleet began to shift formation. Thousands of ships locked into attack positions. Energy readings spiked to levels never before recorded. "They're charging their primary weapons," an operator shouted. Admiral Grant slammed his hand on the console. "This is it. It's happening." From the far side of Mars, a single coded message flashed from the Helios control center. "System ready." The humans had just hours left before the first strike. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The final day arrived. 3 days had passed since the alien ultimatum, and humanity had not surrendered. In the blackness of space beyond Mars, the Zorath Armada formed into a perfect battle formation. Thousands of warships aligned with flawless precision, their glowing energy cores burning bright like artificial stars. Their weapons, capable of turning entire continents into glass, were fully charged. On Earth, sirens blared across cities, colonies and space stations. Military forces were on high alert, fleets positioned near orbital defenses, and every citizen prepared for the worst. Humanity had united like never before. Inside the Geneva command bunker, the atmosphere was tense. Holographic displays filled the room, showing real-time visuals of the alien fleet moving closer to Mars. Admiral Grant stood at the center, watching quietly, his jaw tight. "They're not waiting anymore," he said finally. "The Zorath are moving to strike." Dr. Maya Kessler leaned over the console, scanning the energy readings. "Their power levels are peaking. Once they fire, there's no going back." General Sarah Blake stepped forward, her voice sharp and steady. "Then we hit them first." A murmur ran through the room. Everyone knew what she meant. Activate Project Helios. But Dr. Adrian Shaw, chief scientist of the Helios program, shook his head. "We're not ready," he said. "We still need 6 more hours for the quantum stabilizers to fully synchronize. If we fire Helios now, the energy feedback could—" "We don't have 6 hours," Blake interrupted coldly. "We either fight now or we die waiting." President Elena Vasquez listened quietly from the command platform. Finally, she raised her hand, silencing the room. Her voice was calm but firm. "We stall them. Hold their attention. Helios stays. Offline until it's ready." "Understood." Admiral Grant nodded. "Then we deploy the Aegis protocol." Across the solar system, Operation Aegis came alive. Thousands of automated defense drones activated, launching from hidden stations on the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. Massive orbital cannons extended from Earth's shadow, locking onto alien signatures. Cloaked warships, built in secret under Project Valkyrie, powered up their weapons and vanished into stealth mode. Humanity's trap was ready. Far beyond Mars, inside the flagship Vadran Ascendancy, Zorkal observed. the human movements with quiet confidence. His deep, layered voice echoed through the command chamber. "They deploy their toys," he said softly. "They believe they can resist us." An alien officer approached. "Supreme Speaker, our weapons are fully charged. Shall we erase them?" "Now?" Zorath shook his head slowly, his black, pupilless eyes narrowing. "No, let them fight, let them hope, and when their hope burns, so will their worlds." He raised his clawed hand and gave a single command. "Advance." The first alien wave began its descent toward Mars' orbit. The battle started instantly. Hundreds of human defense drones swarmed forward, moving at hypersonic speeds. They darted between asteroid fields, launching bursts of plasma rounds and railgun slugs at the Zorath escort ships. A few alien vessels went down in brilliant explosions, their debris scattering into the void. But then the Zorath retaliated. Beams of blue plasma lanced across space, vaporizing entire drone formations in seconds. Human stealth ships uncloaked and returned fire, deploying AI-guided missiles that split mid-flight into hundreds of micro-warheads. The sky lit up with detonations, shockwaves rippling across the silent void. Inside the Geneva bunker, alarms screamed as live feeds flooded. "In Alpha Squadron down," a voice shouted. "Delta Fleet reporting 60% casualties," another operator yelled. Admiral Grant slammed his hand against the console. "Pull them back, regroup at the Martian defense grid." But the Zorath weren't slowing down. Massive destroyers, each larger than entire human cities, broke through the first defense lines, firing relentless bursts of energy so bright they burned holes into the Martian surface. Meanwhile, deep beneath Mars, the Helios control chamber roared with power. The glowing energy cores hummed louder, pulsing with unstable light. Engineers frantically checked readouts while warning sirens blared across the room. Dr. Shaw barked orders over the chaos. "We need more time. If we overload the stabilizers, now Helios could implode." General Blake stood at his side, watching the alien fleet numbers rise on the main display. Her jaw was tight, her hands clenched into fists. "Time," she said coldly, "is the one thing we don't have." Suddenly, a transmission came through, a live video feed from the Zorath flagship. Zorath himself appeared, towering and unblinking, his cold gaze fixed on Earth's leaders. His voice was calm, almost amused. "Humans," he said, "you fight bravely. I will honor that. I will make your death swift." President Vasquez stepped forward, meeting his gaze without flinching. "This fight isn't over, Zorath. You're underestimating us." The alien's lips curved into what could only be described as a cruel smile. "Underestimating?" he said softly. "No, President Vasquez, I know exactly what you are, and soon the galaxy will remember what happens to species who defy the Alliance." The feed cut abruptly. Then it happened. The alien fleet launched their planet killer, an enormous energy spear designed to obliterate entire planetary surfaces in a single strike. Energy surged through its colossal frame, lighting up the void in a blinding flash as it charged for Earth. Inside the Helios chamber, every warning light turned red, power levels critical. One engineer shouted, "If we don't fire now, we lose the entire defense grid." Shaw stared at the console, his face pale. "If we fire before stabilization, the quantum backlash could rip Mars in half." General Blake's voice cut through, the chaos like steel. "If we don't fire," she said, "there won't be a Mars to save." The decision fell to President Vasquez. She stared at the holographic projection of the alien superweapon, seconds from releasing its deadly charge. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "Do it." Dr. Shaw hesitated only a moment before giving the command. "Helios, initiate primary sequence." The entire Martian facility trembled as massive conduits channeled impossible amounts of energy into the weapon's core. The chamber glowed brighter than the sun, and a deep, resonant hum filled the air. On every human fleet channel, a single transmission echoed, "Project Helios is online." Across the void, Zorath narrowed his eyes as his scanners detected the sudden energy spike. "What is this?" he growled. "What have they done?" Before his officers could answer, Helios fired. A blinding wave of energy erupted from Mars, bending space-time itself as it raced toward the alien armada. Human operators shielded their eyes, and even the alien sensors scrambled to adjust. Then the feed went dark. Nobody knew who had survived. The light from Project Helios tore through the darkness of space like a newborn star. Every human monitoring station, every orbital camera, every military feed, they all went blind for 7 full seconds. When the screens came back online, silence filled the Geneva command bunker. The alien fleet, once 1,000 strong, was in chaos. Hundreds of Zorath warships were simply gone, erased from existence as if they had never been there at all. Wreckage floated where massive battleships once stood, and entire formations were ripped apart by the shockwave of distorted space-time. 4. A brief moment, hope ignited on Earth. "It worked," Dr. Maya Kessler whispered, staring at the screens in disbelief. Helios actually worked. Around her, officers cheered, hugging one another, relief flooding through the room. Humanity had done the impossible. They had wounded a fleet that no other species had ever defeated, but Admiral Grant didn't join the celebration. His eyes stayed locked on the tactical display, his voice grim. "Don't celebrate yet," he said. "Look." On the main screen, dozens of massive Zorath dreadnoughts still moved in perfect formation. Though they had lost hundreds of ships, the core of their fleet, their most powerful weapons, remained intact. And now they were angry. Suddenly the bunker lights dimmed as a priority signal cut through all channels. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the room. Zorath himself, towering and furious, his black, featureless eyes burning. "With cold rage, you dare," he said, his voice deep and layered, vibrating through the walls. "You dare strike at the Alliance?" President Elena Vasquez stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tension. "We warned you, Zorath. We will not kneel. Leave our system and live, or stay and burn." For a moment, the alien leader said nothing. Then a slow, cruel smile crossed his face. "You've shown strength," he admitted softly, "but now you will learn fear." The transmission ended. On board the Zorath flagship, chaos erupted. Commanders shouted orders, and power surged through their systems as they prepared their planet killer, a weapon designed to erase entire worlds with a single strike. Unlike the Helios device, the Zorath weapon did not distort space-time. It consumed it. Back in the Helios control center beneath Mars, Dr. Adrian Shaw stared at the readouts with growing horror. "Energy output is unstable," he said quickly. "Helios fired at 80% efficiency. The backlash fractured our containment chambers. If we try to fire again before full repairs, we could destroy Mars entirely." General Sarah Blake clenched her fists. "Then fix it, fast." Shaw looked at her sharply. "Fast isn't possible. We need 12 hours to repair the stabilizers." "Then we don't have 12 hours, Blake snapped. Above them, the alien fleet moved into striking position. The largest of the Zorath dreadnoughts, the Caltharis Ascendancy, began charging its weapon, a glowing sphere of condensed antimatter forming at its core. Dr. Kessler leaned closer to her console, her voice tight. "That's not just a bombardment weapon, that's a system killer. If they fire that thing, Earth's atmosphere will ignite." Admiral Grant turned to President Vasquez. "Madam President, we need to make a call. Right now. Do we try another Helios strike, or do we throw everything we have into a counterattack?" The president hesitated, her gaze fixed on the holographic map showing the alien fleet's advance. Then she said quietly, "No, neither. We buy time." Operation Spectre protocol was launched immediately. Hidden in the asteroid belt, deep beneath, layers of ice and rock, lay humanity's Black Fleet, experimental warships built under total secrecy. These ships were unlike any others, powered by reverse-engineered alien tech salvaged decades ago from a crashed Zorath probe. Sleek, angular, and almost invisible to sensors, the Black Fleet deployed silently. Led by Captain Arya Valen, a decorated veteran, the fleet used advanced gravity distortion drives to bend light around them, becoming ghosts in the void. Their mission: infiltrate the alien formation and destroy the Caltheris ascendancy before it could fire. Inside her command deck, Captain Valen stared at the holographic projection of the alien dreadnought. It was massive, nearly 10 kilometers long, with layered shields that could withstand direct nuclear impacts. "This is a suicide mission," her lieutenant muttered quietly. "No," Valen replied softly, locking her harness. "It's worse than that, but if we fail, there won't be a home left to return to." As the Black Fleet approached, they slipped past enemy scanners undetected. At exactly the same time, Earth launched decoy waves of drones, satellites, and old unmanned warships, creating thousands of false energy signatures to confuse the Zorath targeting systems. It worked, for a moment. But the Zorath weren't fooled for long. Within minutes, they detected the faint gravitational ripples from the stealth ships. "They're coming for us," Zorkal snarled, standing at the center of his flagship's command chamber. "End them!" The alien dreadnoughts unleashed a storm of plasma fire, lighting up the void like 1,000 suns. Human stealth ships twisted and darted, using quantum displacement drives to phase between trajectories. But one by one, explosions rippled through the darkness as the smaller vessels were obliterated. Captain Valen's fleet pressed forward anyway. At just 600 kilometers from the Caltheris ascendancy, Valen gave the command. "Fire!" The Black Fleet released their payload. Hundreds of resonance torpedoes designed to overload the alien shields with harmonic disruption. For the first time, the Zorath flagship's defenses faltered, its shields flickering and collapsing in bursts of light. Inside the Geneva bunker, cheers erupted. "They did it!" An officer shouted. "Their shields are down." But the celebration lasted only seconds. The Caltheris ascendancy's core reached full charge. Dr. Kessler's voice shook as she reported the readings. "They're going to fire." Admiral Grant turned to President Vasquez, his face pale. "If they launch that shot, Earth is gone." In the Helios control chamber, engineers screamed as their systems overloaded, desperate to stabilize the device in time. Dr. Shaw wiped sweat from his forehead, his trembling hands flying over the controls. "We need 30 more seconds." The alien flagship's weapon flared brighter than the sun. President Vasquez gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white. "Helios," she whispered. "Now." Dr. Shaw slammed his palm on the console. "Fire!" The Helios core exploded with power, releasing a second wave of blinding light. Space itself seemed to twist, folding like ripples on a dark ocean. The energy collided directly with the Zorath planet killer shot mid-flight. For a moment, the universe went silent. Then the explosion came. A shockwave ripped across the Martian orbit, throwing entire fleets out of position. Communications went dead. Scanners blacked out. The void itself burned with unnatural colors as gravitational forces spiraled wildly out of control. And when the light cleared, no one knew who had won. The explosion from the Helios strike shook the entire solar system. For several long seconds, there was no sound, no data, no light, only darkness. Inside the Geneva command bunker, everyone waited in stunned silence, staring at dead screens, listening to the hum of emergency power systems. The air was heavy, each second stretching longer than the last. Then, one by one, the displays flickered back to life. The battlefield appeared on the main holographic projection. What they saw left the room frozen. The alien planet-killer projectile was gone, completely erased. The space-time distortion from Helios had consumed it entirely, scattering its antimatter core into harmless particles. But the cost was enormous. Helios's second strike had drained its energy cores almost completely. The Mars facility was in critical condition, reactors overheating, stabilizers failing. Entire sections of the underground base had collapsed. Hundreds of scientists and engineers were unaccounted for. Dr. Adrian Shaw wiped the sweat from his face, his hands trembling. We stopped their superweapon," he said quietly. "But Helios is offline. We can't fire again." Around him, the engineers kept working frantically, trying to restore power. But it was hopeless. Humanity's most powerful weapon was gone. Across the void, aboard the Caltheris Ascendancy, Zorath stood in silence as damage reports filled his command chamber. Entire wings of the Zorath fleet had been erased in the Helios blast. Hundreds of ships reduced to debris, thousands of soldiers lost in an instant. For the first time in centuries, the Zorath Supreme Speaker felt something alien to him: doubt. One of his commanders approached cautiously. "Supreme Speaker, shall we withdraw?" Zorath turned slowly, his black, pupilless eyes glowing faintly under the dim light. His voice was sharp and cold. "No," he said. "They think this battle is over. They are wrong." He raised his clawed hand, activating a series of deep command codes. In response, 5 massive shapes emerged from the far edge of the battlefield. Zorath Titan-class dreadnoughts, ancient war machines held in reserve for their most dangerous enemies. Each one was larger than Earth's entire orbital defense. Grid. Humanity had seen the Armada. They had seen the planet killer. But they had never seen the Titans. In the Geneva bunker, an operator shouted, his voice breaking with panic. "New signatures detected. 5 enormous vessels inbound." Admiral Grant's face went pale. Those aren't standard warships. Those are Titans." General Sarah Blake slammed her fist on the table. "How many more surprises do they have?" Dr. Maya Kessler stared at the readings, her hands shaking. "If those things fire on Earth, nothing survives. Not the moon, not Mars, nothing." President Elena Vasquez stood silently at the center of the chaos, her gaze fixed on the tactical display. Then she spoke, her voice steady but cold. "Contact Captain Valen. Tell her it's time." Far from the main battle, hidden deep in the asteroid belt, Captain Arya Valen and the remnants of the Black Fleet prepared for their final mission. Half her ships were gone, destroyed in the assault on the Caltheris Ascendancy, but their sacrifice had bought Earth precious time. When the order came through, Valen closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. Then she turned to her crew. "This is it," she said softly. "One last strike, no coming back." Her lieutenant nodded grimly. "Understood, Captain." The Black Fleet adjusted course, activating full gravity distortion drives. The plan was simple: penetrate the Titan formation, overload their reactors, and cripple the Zorath's ultimate weapons before they could fire. Simple, but suicidal. Back on Mars, chaos filled the Helios chamber. Though the weapon was offline, Shaw refused to stop working. He scrambled across the control boards, rerouting power from damaged cores into secondary systems. General Blake approached him sharply. "What are you doing?" "Helios can't fire," Shaw said, his voice hoarse, "but it can still open a space-time rift." Blake's eyes narrowed. "That sounds dangerous." "It is," Shaw admitted, his hands moving fast. "If we stabilize the rift and detonate it near the Titans, the gravitational collapse could tear them apart. But it could also take Mars with it." Blake hesitated, then nodded once. Do it. As the Zorath Titans powered up their massive weapons, the Black Fleet descended upon them like shadows. Dozens of human stealth ships zipped between the giant dreadnoughts, firing resonance torpedoes and magnetized disruptors. Explosions rippled across the alien hulls, but the Titans barely slowed. Inside her command deck, Veylan watched the readings. Targeting array locked, her weapons officer reported. Fire everything, she said. The Black Fleet unleashed its full payload. Torpedoes screamed through the void, slamming into the nearest Titan's shield. Sparks erupted across its surface, and for a moment the beast faltered. But then its counterattack came, and it was devastating. A single plasma lance from the Titan sliced through 3 human warships in one shot, tearing them apart instantly. Shields failing. Veylan's lieutenant shouted, "Stay on course!" She yelled back. Then, from Mars, a bright flare erupted. The Helios rift opened. A swirling vortex of energy expanded near the Titan formation, pulling nearby debris and wreckage into its growing gravity well. The Titans tried to adjust course, but their massive size slowed them. "Now!" Admiral Grant shouted. "Focus everything on the rift." Every surviving human fleet in orbit fired. Railguns, plasma cannons, missile barrages, pouring everything they had into destabilizing the rift around the Titan ships. The effect was catastrophic. One Titan was ripped apart instantly, its colossal frame torn into glowing fragments. Another was pulled halfway into the collapsing vortex before its core exploded, scattering debris in all directions. Zorath watched in disbelief from the Ascendancy's command deck. "Impossible," he whispered. No species could fight like this." His officers looked to him for orders, but the Supreme Speaker stayed silent for several seconds. Finally, his cold, layered voice returned. "Signal the retreat." And just like that, the impossible happened. The Zorath Titans disengaged. Their remaining forces pulled back, vanishing into the darkness of deep space. The battle was over. Inside the Geneva bunker, the silence was deafening at first. Then cheers erupted across the command center. Officers hugged, scientists wept. Humanity had done the unthinkable, but President Vasquez didn't celebrate. She stood at the center of the room, her expression calm, almost distant. Dr. Kessler approached her quietly. We actually won," she said softly. Vasquez shook her head. "No, we survived." The president turned to the others, her voice firm. "Zorath will be back, and next time he won't come alone. The galaxy has seen what we can do now, and they will never underestimate us again. But make no mistake, this is only the beginning." She looked up at the holographic map of the solar system, where debris fields still glimmered faintly. "Against the starlight, they thought humans were prey," she said, her voice steady, her words carrying through the room. "They were wrong.